Some people move through the world quietly, almost unnoticed. They don't create noise. They don't demand attention. They don't brag or compete for validation. Yet somehow, nothing gets past them. They watch, they understand, and they remain grounded even when someone tries to pull them into chaos. And because of that inner stability, these individuals are incredibly difficult to manipulate. Psychologists call this emotional independence, the ability to stay rooted in your own reality, no matter what someone else is trying to project on you. Today, we're diving into 7 silent behaviors that make certain people impossible to control, fool, or emotionally influence. These behaviors aren't dramatic. They aren't loud. They're subtle, almost invisible. But they change everything. Let's begin. 1. They observe before they respond emotionally. Strong people don't rush into reactions. They don't impulsively defend themselves. They don't jump to conclusions. Instead, they go into observation mode, calmly and quietly. They absorb the situation like a scientist reviewing data, slowly, intentionally, and without emotional distortion. They notice things most people miss: micro-expressions, tiny shifts in tone, unusual pauses, the words people choose or avoid. This is something psychology calls cognitive empathy, not emotional empathy, where you feel what someone is feeling, but analytical empathy, where you see what they're trying to hide. While others rush to speak, these people let the silence do the work. In that silence, people reveal their motives, manipulators especially. Because manipulators depend on emotional reactions. They need you to talk too much, react too fast, or reveal too much. But someone who observes first gives them nothing to work with. Half of all manipulation collapses simply because the person refuses to respond immediately. 2. They don't overexplain themselves. A powerful but quiet behavior. Emotionally secure people say what they mean, and they don't repeat themselves out of nervousness or fear. They don't chase understanding. They don't try to justify every decision. Why? Because they operate from an internal reference point, an inner compass that keeps them aligned with their values and intentions. Overexplaining is often a trauma response. It comes from being misunderstood, dismissed, or doubted too many times. But grounded individuals break that cycle. When they express something once, they trust their words. They don't shrink to make someone more comfortable. They don't hand over emotional details that manipulators can twist. Their boundaries do the talking. And their calm confidence sends a message louder than any explanation ever could. 3. They regulate before reacting. Most manipulation thrives on one thing: emotional reactions. If someone can get you angry, defensive, confused, or scared, they can guide your behavior. They can push your buttons. They can create doubt, guilt, or urgency. But emotionally strong people have mastered the art of pausing. Even a 2-second pause is enough to interrupt emotional hijacking. They use simple but powerful regulation tools: deep breathing, grounding techniques, naming their emotions. I feel irritated, not attacked. Observing tone instead of absorbing it. When they don't give the reaction someone is fishing for, the other person's strategy immediately loses power. The drama falls apart. The pressure fades. The manipulator's script stops working. Their calmness isn't silence, it's clarity. And clarity, by nature, cannot be manipulated. 4. They don't chase people. They choose them. Chasing people is an emotional investment, and manipulators love emotional investment. It gives them leverage. The leverage to guilt you, confuse you, or pull you back into situations you should have walked away from. But emotionally strong people don't chase. Not because they don't care, but because they value secure attachment. If someone pulls away, they don't panic. They don't beg. They don't perform emotional gymnastics. They evaluate. Is this relationship consistent? Is there respect? Is the connection mutual or one-sided? Am I giving more than I'm receiving? If the energy isn't balanced, they step back, quietly, respectfully, and without resentment. Not to punish the other person, but to protect their peace. And when you no longer chase, no one can manipulate you with the fear of losing them. 5. They trust patterns, not promises. Words can be beautifully crafted. Promises can be emotional, dramatic. They understand intermittent reinforcement, a manipulative cycle where someone behaves badly, apologizes intensely, then repeats the same behavior again. Most people get trapped in this loop. But emotionally strong people step out of it. They compare what someone says with what someone does. If the apology is loud but the behavior doesn't change, they treat it as information, not transformation. You cannot manipulate someone who makes decisions based on evidence instead of emotion. 6. They protect their energy without feeling guilty. Emotionally grounded individuals treat their mental energy like it's a limited resource, not something endless or easily replaced. They notice early signs of emotional exhaustion. When a conversation becomes draining, when someone constantly brings chaos, when a relationship starts feeling one-sided, when they can sense their peace being slowly eroded, and they don't wait for things to break, they act early. They walk away before resentment builds. They distance themselves before the situation becomes toxic. They choose peace over drama every time. This is not selfishness. This is emotional hygiene, maintaining a clean mental environment. Their rule is simple. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. And because they're willing to walk away, manipulators lose the leverage they normally depend on. 7. They use silence for clarity, not control. Silence is one of the strongest tools emotionally stable people use, and it's often misunderstood. Their silence is not avoidance. It's not passive aggression. It's not a power move. It's a diagnostic tool. When they go silent, they pay attention to what happens next. Who respects their space? Who gets angry or insecure? Who becomes aggressive? Who reveals their true motives? Silence removes emotional noise. It creates distance, and distance reveals truth. It lets them see the relationship without pressure, without influence, and without emotional fog. In silence, loyalty becomes clear. Intentions become obvious. Respect, or the lack of it, becomes undeniable. And because silence doesn't feed a manipulator's need for attention or control, the manipulation suffocates. Their silence isn't about control. It's about understanding. Real strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from understanding yourself deeply enough that no one can control you. When you understand your emotions, your patterns, and your boundaries, your reactions stop being weapons someone can turn against you. These silent behaviors aren't about being cold. They're about being conscious, calm, and aware. Anyone can learn them. And when you do, the way you move through the world changes permanently. If you found this helpful and enjoy psychology explained in a clear, meaningful way, consider subscribing for more videos like this. No gym, no diet, steal their 9 daily habits by watching my next video.